When Penn State running back Saquon Barkley hurtled an Iowa defender last month, he did more than draw gasps from a Saturday Night Football audience. Barkley, already considered among the best players in college football, delivered the visual launch to his candidacy as the 2017 Heisman Trophy favorite. Joe Tessitore, the ESPN play-by-play announcer and Heisman voting authority, watched from Georgia, having just finished broadcasting another game. He called Barkley's September 23 performance against Iowa his Heisman moment. "It's not just that Barkley is the best player in college football in terms of results," Tessitore said. "He does one or two things a game that make you say to yourself, 'No, come on, stop it. What is that?' That's a freak. You see actual, physical performances within a play that scream Heisman." Saquon Barkley Tracker, the latest on Penn State star running back. Penn State running back Saquon Barkley stiff-arms Georgia State's James Traylor, one of many moves Penn State running back Saquon Barkley stiff-arms Georgia State's James Traylor, one of many moves the junior running back has displayed during his career. Abby Dre Center Daily Times via AP. Since the season began, Barkley, the Whitehall High graduate and record-setting Nittany Lion, has gone from Heisman Trophy contender to favorite, opening new doors for himself, the football program and the university. A Heisman candidacy generates valuable free publicity for schools, an estimated $14 to $15 million for Penn State in September alone, in the short term, and can have tangible impacts, financial and otherwise, in the long term. From boosts in ticket sales and donations to increased student applications, universities reap benefits from Heisman campaigns and trophies. Penn State has acknowledged that potential, building a Barkley-specific website, Happy Valley Heisman, to showcase Barkley's season. Though Penn State would not discuss specific or future plans to promote Barkley for the award, Athletic Director Sandy Barber said before the season that a campaign would be valuable to the program. The benefit to having two quality young men including quarterback Trace McSorley who are mentioned to varying degrees from a Heisman standpoint is valuable for them and their futures, Barber said in July. But it's also for Penn State and continuing to elevate the program from the standpoint of where we are in our success as well as for Penn State football student athletes. This is a place you can come and have those opportunities. A very crowded landscape. The Heisman Trophy, awarded annually to the most outstanding player in college football, is perhaps the most well-known individual award in American team sports. The Downtown Athletic Club of New York will present the 45-pound bronze trophy, with its iconic stiff-arm design, for the 83rd time December 9. To chase the award, university athletic departments have conducted creative, and occasionally expensive, campaigns to promote their Heisman candidates. In 1992, Brigham Young University distributed 10,000 Heisman ties, cloth neckties, to promote quarterback Ty Detmer, who won the award. Members of Washington State's athletic staff raked leaves in 1997, sending one to each Heisman voter to remind them about quarterback Ryan Leaf, who did not win. Penn State running back Saquon Barkley leads all FBS players with 243.6 all-purpose yards per game. Penn State running back Saquon Barkley leads all FBS players with 243.6 all-purpose yards per game and has seen his workload increase since last season. Jeff Robertson AP. In 2001, the University of Oregon spent $250,000 for a New York billboard advertising quarterback Joey Harrington for the award. And in 2011, Northwestern launched a Heisman campaign for quarterback and Liberty High graduate Dan Persa with billboards in Chicago and near ESPN headquarters in Connecticut. Northwestern also sent 7-pound dumbbells to Heisman voters, underscoring its Persa-strong campaign slogan. Neither player won the award. Saturdays are a very crowded landscape, said Eric Wright, president and director of research at Joyce Julius and Associates, a media research firm in Ann Arbor, Michigan. By having one of the Heisman favorites, it does cut through the clutter for your brand. It gets you to the top of the conversation. And it's a valuable conversation. According to Wright, Barkley was the fourth most mentioned college football player in September, generating 17,690 mentions across television and the internet. Most of that coverage came late in the month, after Barkley totaled the school record 353 all-purpose yards in Penn State's win over Iowa. That game featured several plays, including the leap, that saturated social media and concluded with ESPN analyst Kirk Herbstreit calling Barkley the best player in college football. Wright said the comparable exposure value of that coverage, or what Penn State would have to spend to generate such publicity, was between $14 and $15 million. He expected that value to increase as the season continues. It's really quite a benefit that they don't have to put a lot of resources toward or really do anything out of the norm to create, Wright said, other than keep Barkley healthy and hope he performs. Penn State coach James Franklin points to running back Saquon Barkley as they walk off the field after. Penn State coach James Franklin points to running back Saquon Barkley as they walk off the field after defeating Iowa. Matthew Holst, Getty Images. Penn State's campaign for Barkley hasn't included trinkets or gimmicks. In fact, the athletic department seems content to allow national broadcasters and social media to market Barkley or it. An effective campaign for this would be just get out of the way and don't make it look like you're hyping him, said John Powell, director of the sports business program in Penn State's Smeal College of Business. He doesn't need to be hyped. If you're hyping him, it looks like a program or university is trying to make itself look good by winning a Heisman Trophy. Penn State has complemented its website and promotions on social media platforms by making Barkley available for a series of national interviews. ESPN, Sports Illustrated and others have visited State College and Whitehall for long-form pieces, and the Big Ten Network featured the running back in its program The Journey. The reality is we get literally hundreds of interview requests for Barkley per week, Penn State coach James Franklin said. Basically, it's our job to manage that and make sure that Saquon has the time to be the best student he possibly can, be the best teammate he possibly can, still prepare to be successful on Saturdays, but also allow people in this community and across the country to get to know him because he's a special young man. Though reluctant to chase stardom, Barkley understands the benefit of such exposure for himself and Penn State. He said it hasn't detoured him from his priorities, though. Oh no, you can't avoid it. It's 2017. I look on my phone, on Twitter, he said. My friends and family, they do that Heisman ballot thing. It pops up on my Twitter feed or Instagram. I'm very active on social media, so you can't hide or run away from it. So the best thing you can do as a person is not to get too caught up in it. You've got to keep your priorities in line, and my main priority is to continue to try to be a better player, a better leader, and continue to win games. The Flutie effect. Boston College quarterback Doug Flutie won the Heisman Trophy in 1984, punctuating his season with the game-winning 48-yard touchdown pass against Miami that became known as the Hail Flutie. 2 years later, Boston College reported a 30% increase in student applications. Penn State Saquon Barkley stiff arms Pitts Avant Maddox. Penn State Saquon Barkley stiff arms Pitts Avant Maddox. Chris Knight AP, the phenomenon, known as the Flutie effect, correlates athletics success to university benefits. A 2013 Harvard Business School paper attributed a 17.7% increase in student applications when schools have football success. The benefits can be fiscal as well. According to ESPN, Robert Griffin II's 2011 Heisman Trophy generated a 10% increase in donations and a 50% increase in licensing royalties to Baylor University. Joyce Julius and Associates said that Johnny Manziel's late-season run to the Heisman in 2012 produced the equivalent of $37 million in media exposure for Texas A&M University. Since winning the Big Ten championship last season, Penn State has felt a surge of football popularity. Attendance is up 8% through the first 4 home games over 2016, averaging 105,468 per game. The next home game, October 21 against Michigan, is a sellout that could produce one of the largest crowds in Beaver Stadium history. For the first time in several years, state college hotels have sold out the past few home games, and there has been an uptick in weekend restaurant reservations, said Lori Miller, interim executive director of the Central Pennsylvania Convention and Visitors Bureau. Weekend room rates have jumped to as much as $700 per night for the September 9 game against Pitt. Miller said the region expects a huge weekend for Michigan's visit, and reservations are growing for November home games against Nebraska and Rutgers. A winning program drives the renewed traffic, Miller said, though she has heard one name stand out. With any sport that you follow, if you have a strong person on the team, you rally around that person, Miller said. And Barkley does seem to be the topic of conversation in many a tailgate around my circle of friends. Can Barkley win? Only one Penn State player has won the Heisman Trophy, running back John Cappelletti in 1973. 40 years later, the athletic department retired his number 22. Since then, 5 players have finished in the Heisman voting's top 5, including runners-up Chuck Fusina, 1978, and Ki-Jana Carter, 1994. The last contender was quarterback Michael Robinson, who finished 5th in 2005. Next week, Tessitore, the ESPN broadcaster, will begin his annual polling of Heisman voters to gauge their weekly favorites. He expects Barkley to top the list. I personally, right now, believe Saquon Barkley is having a Heisman-esque year and, to me, is the best player in college football, Tessitore said. The season he's putting together on the field and the performances we've seen have that little bit of magic that we're familiar with when somebody feels like the Heisman winner. But, Tessitore added, being the early favorite carries risk. Penn State has high-profile, back-to-back games against Michigan and Ohio State this month, with Michigan's visit to Beaver Stadium likely scheduled for ABC primetime. The one voting trend I would really warn about with his candidacy is the guy on top takes an extra hit, or the hit is amplified when he loses or has the showdown game later in the season where they fall short, Tessitore said. Those 2 games are critical for his candidacy. The Heisman favorite. According to the Las Vegas Westgate Superbook, Penn State Saquon Barkley went from Heisman Trophy contender to favorite in a few weeks. Sept. 10 odds. Sam Darnold, USC quarterback, 5-1. Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma quarterback, 7-1. Lamar Jackson, Louisville quarterback, 8-1. J.T. Barrett, Ohio State quarterback, 10-1. Jake Browning, Washington quarterback, 12-1. Saquon Barkley, Penn State running back, 21. Oct. 1 odds. Saquon Barkley, Penn State running back, 7-4. Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma quarterback, 2-1. Lamar Jackson, Louisville quarterback, 8-1. Mason Rudolph, Oklahoma State quarterback, 10-1. Sam Darnold, USC quarterback, 12-1. Bryce Love, Stanford running back, 15-1.